Maybe 10 minutes, we've gone over a little bit, but as per usual, I want to just go through a bunch of stuff that's kind of come across my radar over the last few months, some of which is related to to technology and smart cities. Other things are just generally interesting to the urban development of Sheffield. So as I say, I'm going to go through these quickly. First thing, Sheffield City goals. I talked about this last time. So this is a big consultation with citizens in Sheffield to establish a set of stories and goals that everybody can kind of agree with, and they're going to drive the city forward. So it creates a platform for organisations across the city to work towards a common future, right? So this is in its final stages. The final kind of comments have gone in, and I believe this is going to be published in the next month or two before Christmas, hopefully. And it's a set of kind of goals and how we're all collectively going to get there. Second thing, a report came out about the visitor economy in Sheffield. Tourists brought in £1.35 billion in spending in the city in 2022, which is really good. That's up to within 1.2% of 2019. So Sheffield has really kind of come back. It's in line with other core cities in the UK in terms of bounce back post-COVID for the visitor economy, but it's still really good news. Sheffield is increasingly being seen as a good city destination for city breaks and access to the peaks, obviously. Other big thing, Better Points Sheffield has launched. So this is a trial, 4-year trial with University of Sheffield has now resulted in Better Points being made available to all citizens of Sheffield. This is basically a scheme, an app where which tracks your walking and cycling and active lifestyle and gives you points in exchange that you can reimburse in outlets across the city. So you get discounts on stuff that you buy, hospitality and retail in Sheffield. So do check it out, sheffield.betterpoints.uk. This company's been going for quite a long time. We worked together a few years ago on a climate summit, ostensibly in Sheffield, but it was online during COVID. It's really good to see them active in the city and with a Sheffield version of their Better Points system. Let's check that out. Info from the Clean Air Zone. Clean Air Zone has pulled in £3 million in revenue in the first 6 months of operation. This is kind of in line with what they were expecting. Obviously, a lot of commercial vehicles are transitioning to low emission vehicles. They haven't decided what they're doing with this £3 million yet. The revenue from the scheme supports the scheme, but any surplus they have committed to invest in other programs that improve air quality in the city. So there may be a fund, that uses this money, but it is ring fenced. The council's not just using it to shore up other holes in their budget. It is sitting there to be used for air quality positive projects. The council have also made £1.7 million available for a series of grants. This is government money that is being processed through Business Sheffield. There's productivity grants and digital innovation grants. These programs have run before, so this is the latest round of them. It's between 2,500 and 12.5 grand match for projects that either boost productivity or introduce digital technology into companies. So yeah, go through Business Sheffield for this. It's very easy to access. Small grants can make a big difference. Active travel trials. So the jury is now in on these. These are the active travel pilots that we're running for most of this year. So Little London Road is staying. Parts of Walkley and Crooks active travel areas are also staying. We won't go into details as to what. The Nether Edge one, so the main part of Nether Edge, including the Archer Road traffic barrier, which Sam mentioned, is going to be reversed after a huge campaign from motorists and people that use that as a wrap run through. So it's really, from a democratic angle, it's kind of interesting because you've got residents whose voices should matter more than other citizens who use it on their commutes, getting through quicker. And interestingly, the schools involved in this have now realised that it's going and have now started a whole campaign to try and get them to reinstate it because of the positive benefits it has, saying that the kids that it affects the most on their walks to school and back actually never got a voice in this. They were never part of the consultation. So there's still a big fight going on over this. There's a really good article in the Tribune about the data, showing that the data had a really positive effect, but councillors reversed it because of the amount of heat they were getting from their constituents, and they went with re-election rather than what the data said and what the local residents wanted. Controversial. Anyway, that's that. Arundel Gate bus gate has caught out a lot of people. More people, there were expected over 1,000 people got caught out by the bus gate in July, I think. And there's people saying one of the reasons is that no one knows what a flipping bus gate is, and that it's actually discriminatory to a lot of our international students and visitors who have no idea what a bus gate is, and why can't they just say it's a no-through road to cars. So I kind of agree with them on that. So there's new signage has gone up. I'm not sure if it's going to help or not. But speaking of Arundel Gate, planning has gone in for a container park between the O2, which, as we know, is currently shut because of the quality of the concrete in the building, and the Odeon. So in between the O2 and the Odeon, in that little bit of kind of concrete square, there's a plan gone in for a 2-level container park, mixed use, event space, hospitality, which looks quite interesting. I don't know if it's going to be approved, but kind of an interesting thing to build out along that area. Another thing that's happened, so Sheffield City Council have approved a trial for on-street EV charging to provide charging to residents that don't have their own off-street charging. The initial pilot is for 11 chargers in a neighbourhood in Sheffield. I'm not sure if they've actually identified exactly where it's going to be specifically, but they're looking for this to be the first trial to prove the concept and then roll out kind of community charging in other parts of the city. I have a list of alternative schemes that have been put forward by the government after they pulled the rug on HS2. Obviously, our branch of HS2 had the rug pulled on it, last year. Now they're pulling the rug on the rest of it, and they've gone back to saying, well, instead of it, we're going to do all the things that we've been talking about doing for the last 30 years almost, in terms of electrifying the lines between Sheffield and Manchester, Sheffield and Leeds, opening up lines from Sheffield to Stocksbridge, from Sheffield to Chesterfield, potentially opening up Victoria Station again to service those lines, etc. A station at Waverley was one of the other things that was included in that package. So there's a whole set of things that were basically proposed that really should happen alongside HS2 that are now being boosted as the things that are going to happen instead of HS2. So yes, lots of people lots of rail buffs are just debating this at length. Well, there's a lot of there's not as much surprise as you think about the whole thing, to be honest. But, Cole Brothers. So Urban Splash have got the contract to redevelop Cole Brothers. They released a new render of this. I don't know how many people saw this. So we have like a view of what's happening to the Cole Brothers department store, and this includes what looks like an entire new story built on top of the car park, and big open terraces on the roof of the building, as well as obviously an internal refit with big panorama windows wrapping the main building. So yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, just what we can see from their external renders, it looks like quite transformed building, seeing as they're retaining the skeleton of the whole thing. In fact, there it is. That's the view. So you can see all of this is like basically built on top of where the car park is at the moment, and these floor-to-ceiling windows wrapping the whole thing. Okay, there was also a render of West Bar, the architects. Urbo released a fly-through of the £300 million West Bar development, which, you know, it's very nice and everything, but it does kind of look as if it could be in any city anywhere in the country. But by all means, go to Urbo's YouTube channel and watch the render of it and see what you think. Debenhams, the owners of Debenhams say that they're going to open it before Christmas as what the Star called eBay you can touch and feel. So this idea of like a maker's market is a goer apparently, and that's what they're going to. I think it's more like an Etsy you can touch and feel than an eBay, right? But the idea is that small volume producers across the city are going to be able to sell things on a pop-up basis in Debenhams. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'm not sure if they're refitting any of the interior of it, actually. I haven't really seen that.
This is off the back of them not being able to sell it. So
right,
I guess would be very much not.
But this is the new owners that are saying this, not the council that are saying this. They have, yeah?
But they've not been able to get anyone to occupy it.
That's true, yes. That is true, yeah. Attercliffe Waterside. So this is a big zero-carbon development in Attercliffe, one of the first big residential developments in Attercliffe, as Attercliffe's kind of, you know, redevelopment continues, you know, as the Olympic Legacy Park and its activity, you know, produces development in Attercliffe. And what the architects have said is that they're not providing parking for residents outside their dwellings. They're providing communal car parking for no more than 400 vehicles to try and break people's behaviour. They kind of said if you provide on-street parking for people in front of their houses, then people will buy cars. If you make it slightly more difficult, maybe they won't, and look for other ways of getting around. So that's kind of an interesting thing, bit of, you know, kind of behaviour engineering built into the development. There's some really good articles in the Tribune about Heart of the City. I don't know if anybody read them, but they're looking at how Sheffield may have lucked into a completely different commercial model for its city centre than other cities that have, you know, maybe their developments were sooner but were retail focused, and ours is much more mixed and much more costly in many ways because we've tried to retain as many of the heritage buildings or at least the frontages as possible. But it's going to be really interesting as these things come on stream. We're just like a few months away from a lot of the developments in Heart of the City coming on stream. So I recommend that you check those articles out in the Tribune if you're not already. And while we're on the subject of the Sheffield Tribune, so this is the sister publication to Manchester Mill. This is, you know, a new type of public media. So rather than a newspaper that's advertising, this business model is based on advertising. It's online only as a newsletter, daily to subscribers, but it's a subscriber-only business model. And so they do in-depth articles on specific subjects about the city. And they've been really successful. They broke even in April in Sheffield, and they tried to raise money, and they raised much more money than they were expecting, and that's allowed them to expand into other cities. I think Birmingham Digest is the first of those expansions that went online last week. So yeah, like civic media is really kind of being transformed by this, and I don't know if any other people are subscribers here, but the quality of the reporting is very good. Although one of the articles, the journalist used the word Panglossian as in the reporting. I noticed yesterday. I was reading it and I thought, I don't think star readers are going to migrate over to something that uses terms like Panglossian. I mean, who's read Candide? Yeah. Government rollback on green pledges. Meanwhile, in the Star, there was an article about how what a terrible thing it was that the government rolled back on these green pledges and how it would be bad for energy bills, bad for jobs, and bad for investments, which was a bit of a surprise only insofar that it was published in the Star. Sheffield City Council have announced a new digital service strategy, so they have been transferring from their existing content management system and web infrastructure to an entirely new one, and are in the process of revising all of their digital services across the city, which is long overdue. And I know something of the background to all of this. but I'm not going to go into that right now. You can talk to me afterwards about it. But it also involves setting up a couple of new websites, one for adult training and one for social welfare, as well as removing the existing news website and incorporating that into the main website as well. AWRC Accelerator, this is an Advanced Wellbeing Research Centre from Sheffield Hallam University. They have just kicked off their third cohort. Applications are now open to startups joining the accelerator if they've got health and well-being related applications. There's always kind of, things that are relevant to the smart city theme in terms of those. So I'm looking forward to maybe inviting some to a future Smart Sheffield event. And then while we're on the subject of new technologies, this is something that's come out of the University of Sheffield in conjunction with Siemens and Yorkshire Water. It's called the SEWA, Siemens Water Blockage Predictor. It's a cloud-based AI stormwater blockage predictor that they're commercialising. So Siemens have taken this research and they're commercialising it, so that might be worth checking into, those people that are interested in water sensing. There's also, this is another one called AdZord, which again is led by University of Sheffield, but they're trialling, this is residential energy storage using technologies that have come out of the University of Loughborough. So for domestic heating, energy storage when renewables are cheap, to store the energy for deployment later on. There's a range of technologies that they've developed and they're trialing them at the moment, so that's quite interesting. Hybrid air vehicles, which basically run commercial blimps. They just got an order that doubles the number that they're building. They're supposedly building a factory just outside Doncaster to build these huge blimps that transport freight mainly, but also passengers, at a fraction of the carbon footprint of commercial airline. And the other piece of news, city taxis is now no more. After 43 years of operating in the city, it is now Vizu. I haven't really looked into this, but one of the things I did notice is that it looks like Vizu have converted all of their driver contracts to be independent contractors as opposed to employees. So precisely the thing that Uber got into a massive court case over that found in the driver's favour. So how long Vizu are going to get away with this for, I don't quite know, but it's a very different model to city taxis traditionally. So that's basically our last traditional taxi service gone from the city. Finally, just wanted to mention the Sheffield Digital skills audit. So Sheffield Digital have got a survey for tech companies to try and get hard data on where their skills requirements are, where their skills gaps are, so that they can work with educators and Simco in the city to make sure that we have provision covered for skills that companies are finding it really hard to recruit for. So obviously that includes Sheffield Hallam as well. So there's a week to go on this audit, so if you're a tech company, go to Sheffield Digital's website and fill out the form, fill out the survey if you can, because that data really helps know exactly what's missing from our ecosystem. Right, that's it. Just asking you to join the mailing list at smartsheffield.city. If there's anything you want me to include in the news next event, which hopefully will be January, email me or, I would say go to Twitter and do this, but we're not really on Twitter anymore, so hit me up on LinkedIn or something. And that's it. Thanks very much for coming. You can all go and eat your pizzas now. Thank you, everybody.